Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Corey's Whitetail Woods. Day 2 in Ohio. Tagged out yesterday with a doe, so I had to go back to the hotel last night and buy another tag, so I can get a buck. We can only get one buck in Ohio. I'm hunting on the ground again. I'm on the edge of a logging trail. The edge of a logging trail where it goes around a corner, and it looks to me like bucks, there's a bunch of footprints where they come off the ridge right over there, and then walk down the rest of the logging trail, and there's a big scrape right over straight in front of me, about 20 yards, less than 20 yards. So hoping to see something cruising through this morning. I'm going to be filming with my phone again because I tried to get the tripod out this morning and set it up, but I realized I had the wrong base, so that's not going to work. All right, stay tuned. Oh, and Dan went up on top of the ridge again where we were hunting yesterday. That's where I shot that doe, and he saw a nice 10-pointer up there, so hopefully we see something again this morning. Hey, good morning. So we didn't see anything this morning. Well, I didn't see anything yet sitting on that corner. Just some squirrels. So we got up to, Dan said he was going to get up and start moving around to get the blood flowing because it's pretty daggone cold. It's about 25 degrees. So I'm gonna go get my backpack. I just was walking this bench to see if I saw any sign below the grunt call a couple times. I'm gonna go head up to the ridge, top of the ridge where I shot that doe yesterday, and meet up with Dan, and we'll walk up there and see if there's anything going on. It's a big one. Walking down the trail. We're gonna go caught back up with Dan. Wow, there's scrapes all along this trail. It's a big one. We're gonna go to the other side of this ridge. Dan's gonna get into a pinch point, and I'm gonna walk up top where real slow and see if I can push something down to him. Big bucks around here. This is where Dan splits off and goes to the pinch point he's talking about. And I'm just gonna keep slowly walking this logging trail. All right, so Dan's down that way over that ridge. It's real thick down there. It's actually real thick over here as well. But what I decided to do is I noticed there was a real good crossing right up there ahead of me, and maybe 25 yards. So I'm just gonna chill out here. There's it's kind of like a saddle because it's high on this side where it drops down and high over there. So I noticed there was like a main set of tracks going through and a fresh scrape. So I'm gonna sit here for a little bit. Well, that was pretty cool. I just ran into a guy who was sitting on the side of the trail, decided to sit for a little bit, saw some sign, and a guy comes by on an electric bike, and he apologized for messing up my hunt, but he shot a 12-point buck this morning, so he was going to get the sled to head back to where he got it. So we might get to see that later if I see him coming back through. Going to meet back up with Dan now. Driving across the Ohio River, I had to go back to the hotel for about an hour or so, get my phone charged back. The charger in the car was not working very well. And Dan stayed up there. He jumped a 6-point buck out of its bed, but now he's settled into his spot for the evening hunt. So I'm gonna go join him. It's 2:35, so hopefully we can see something happen tonight. Hey little guy, what are you doing out? Have a nice day. All right, I finally made it back up on the ridge, got all set up. I decided to just hunt in the same exact spot where I shot the doe yesterday because I got up here kind of late and I was gonna go to a point which is in front of me. I'll show you in a minute, but I didn't want to go walking. I mean, the leaves are so crunchy and loud right now, so I didn't want to go walking all through there. And honestly, I'd rather be tucked away in the thick stuff since I'm hunting from the ground. And hopefully the deer will do what they did yesterday. I mean, they've been coming through this area where I'm sitting, either on this bench in front of me or in these trees, little trees behind me. So let me just show you my setup here. All right, so the doe yesterday came off of that point in front of me. Like, she came down off of, if you look through there, there's a hill up there. She came down off of that hill and then just ran right through that thick stuff right there, and then came right past me over here. There's a bunch of these small trees right here, and they seem to like, I mean, a bunch of deer came through here yesterday during the day while we were hunting. Some does and a spike, and the doe that I shot. So we'll see if they do the same thing. I'm just tucked in behind this fallen little log here, and then I've got a tree, got a few larger trees right here in front of me, so should be pretty hidden. All right, see what happens. Hey, I just realized I never gave the scripture of the day while I'm out here enjoying God's creation. So it's Proverbs 55:22. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. That's Proverbs 55:22. Man, it is a beautiful evening out here in the mountains of Ohio. And today is day 2, and it has been a deerless day, at least so far. I have not seen any deer at all today. I was hoping I'd get to see the deer that the buck that the guy killed, but I missed them when they were coming down. Check out this sunset here. Look at that. On the mountain right on the other side. There's another mountain, and that's over there by the Ohio River. When Dan and I leave here tonight after it's dark, we're gonna go over and check out a parking area on the ridge on the other side of the road from where we parked, and see if there's anybody hunting over there. If there's not, we think we're gonna check that place out tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, I don't know. So we might have to wait till it gets light outside. All right. See you guys in a little bit. That is going to wrap up this day of deer hunting. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, morning everyone. I'm letting Dan sleep a little bit, so I just went across the road to the gas station, got some fuel and some breakfast, and we are going to a new spot today. So we're gonna wait until
it's actually light before we go in there, because we've actually never been in there before. And since I don't have to hike as far, I'm gonna bring my tree stand, or not my tree stand, my saddle, and my one stick, and which means I'll need my camera equipment in the tree, so I have a heavier pack. So that's why I'm bringing it, because we're not going as far, and I don't know what's up there, so I might want to get into a tree. But anyway, it's across the road from the ridge we've been hunting the last 2 days, and I mean, that ridge was really good the first day. I stand corrected. I said it was a deerless day. For me, it was. Dan saw a bunch of deer yesterday. He saw a 6-point and some does, but it was mostly while he was walking. He was like, bumping them and stuff. So anyway, we didn't see anything while we were actually sitting and hunting. All right, well, we will see you in the woods.
Well, I am so glad that I did not haul my tree stand way up on this ridge. It was further than I thought. My tree stand, my saddle, and my saddle setup, because I would have had heavier camera gear, the camera arm and all that. I mean, it is dead quiet up here, and I don't see hardly any deer sign, and we made a ton of noise coming in. So I would be surprised if I don't see anything at all, but obviously I'm up here now, so I'm gonna hunt the morning and see what happens. And I forgot to charge my camera last night, so it's gonna be the phone again today. All right, I just turned this hunt into a much more hopeful hunt. I forgot that I had a tarsal gland in my from a estrus doe in my pack from the last one that I killed in Virginia. So what I did is I got it out. I just brought it with me this morning, but I got set up, forgot about it, tied it to a paracord, came down further down the hill. I was set up over this ridge right here, behind a log, but there was no sign over there. So I came down and decided to just drag it around a little bit. And when I started dragging it around, I found a trail, a pretty defined trail on the downward slope of this ridge, and it runs along here. Then I found a scrape, and then I saw that the trail continued to go that way. So I know it's a buck trail, and so I dragged the tarsal gland from where I was all the way down the trail that I found, went further down that way, and then I dragged it back, and then I untied it, and I left the tarsal gland in the scrape. And then I trimmed some branches right in front here. The scrape is right down here. It's like 10 yards away from me. And I'm set up right here on the ground behind some brush. So, I mean, if a buck was to travel, I will see a buck if it starts traveling down here, sniffing its way, checking the scrape and getting wind from that tarsal gland. And I'm behind this big tree here, but I'll also be able to see if a buck comes from that direction. So hopefully something will happen. There's a siren going off, and there's coyotes on the next mountain howling. So cool. Beautiful sunrise. Probably up there eating the deer carcass from the deer that I shot the other day. Morning coffee. Good stuff. All right, I've been forgetting to get some videos. We left that spot this morning. We didn't see any deer. Dan had a few blow at him. I came down this old logging trail to the very bottom, and I'm starting to see some more buck sign. I thought I smelled stinky buck, and Dan is like way the heck up there, somewhere over there. He's scouting like another horse trail. So I'm gonna call him in a minute and let him know what I found. And if this is a swamp down here, I may want to hunt down here. I love hunting swamps because you can see all the sign a lot better. Oh yeah, that looks like a fresh scrape. All right, so I found a real thick bedding area. I got these two scrapes here. There's a scrape over there and a scrape here, and there's a really well-beaten trail that goes into that thick stuff. So I believe there's a good chance that a buck beds in there. I got this idea from from John Eberhart. When he kills a doe that's an estrus, he cuts off the tarsal gland and then drags it along, making a scent for the buck to follow. So I didn't want to set. I thought about setting up like right up there. If he comes out of here, out of that bedding area, could possibly shoot him, but there's a bunch of thick stuff. And then I noticed there's over here on this ridge is where I just jumped some does. They only blew once and ran. I assume it was does. But there's a pretty defined trail that comes along the edge of this ridge. So I'm dragging the tarsal gland back over this way, and then I'm going to put it on a tree near where I'm going to be hunting. So, see what happens. I'm sitting up on this hillside, and there is my trail. There's the deer trail down there, about 20 yards away. Well, that was really exciting. It was super boring sitting up here for 4 hours, but that made it worth it. Seeing that huge buck down there. He probably walked within 35 yards of me, but he was always behind some super thick stuff that I could not shoot through. So I would have taken a 35-yard shot at that buck if I had a clear shot. Then I didn't get it on video, but there was another deer, I'm pretty sure it was a buck. It was huge. That was coming in behind him. So I think it was following him. And when I started calling, that deer stopped. And I don't know if it saw me or what, but I know the unfortunate part is my wind was blowing in the wrong direction. It's a south wind. It's blowing right down there where they were. But I am definitely going to be back here in the morning. I'm going to set up down there in the bottom. I'm going to look for some trails down there, try to get in here real early, and try to see a good spot to set up right off of one of those trails. Because I think it's too thick down there to try to climb in a tree. So I don't want to walk down there now because there may still be deer down there. I keep hearing grunting across the valley here. I heard the longest, what do you call it, tending grunt that I've ever heard, the deepest, loudest. So I don't know if it was that buck. He had a loud grunt too. But anyway, all right, well, be back at it tomorrow. Unfortunately, Dan texted me and he said he missed a big one. So he had a chance at a buck and he missed it. Missed the shot. Poor Dan. Need to get him a rangefinder. Well, I don't know if I'm going to stay in here till dark. I don't think anything else is really going to happen, and my wind's blowing in the wrong direction, so I think I'm going to skedaddle. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, I finally made it back down here to the creek bottom. Man, the ridges are steep. Yesterday I had to pick a different place to set up, but I changed my mind when I came down this morning. So I'm at the lowest point on the hillside on both sides where they cross. Only thing I don't like is my wind direction, because I've got a south-southwest wind which is blowing right towards, I don't know if it's going to be blowing from where they're coming from or if they're going to come from this side. But that's where I came from, so probably not. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm in a really good spot. Saw those big bucks yesterday, so we'll see what happens. Well, I might have picked the wrong spot this morning. Poor Dan, he missed another buck. He's seen like 4 bucks. I haven't seen anything, but my wind is also kind of blowing in the wrong direction for this as a morning hunt. This is the same creek bed I hunted last night. I should have hunted up there with him this morning, and then I should have come down here in the afternoon. But one thing I am glad about is I found this, I heard a whole bunch of deer crossing the creek way down from where I was this morning. It sounded like an army coming through the leaves, and they were going into a bedding area. Let me show you what that looks like. So this looks like a massive bedding area. It's all like long grass, like marshy grass, and I can see tons of tracks coming down from this low point on the ridge, and it just comes right across this little creek. All the other places on this creek bed are real high, walls and everything, and it's hard to get across. So I'm pretty sure this is where the buck came from last night. The big buck that I saw, the 2 big bucks, must have come out of here. In fact, I smell rutting buck right now. The problem is, I think the wind kind of swirls, because that's why I can smell that, because right now we've got a southwest wind all day, which means the wind is going to be blowing from here right into the bedding area. So I'm guessing it's not a good idea for me to sit here all day, but I might just sit here for a little while and see if any more deer come from the north coming into the bedding area. It's like 11:45, 10:45 or something like that. Man, I can't believe the giant buck sign around here compared to Virginia. You just do not see scrapes like this in Virginia. These are older rubs, but 2 big rubs right there. It's crazy. And these hills, wow. Hills and ravines and points, so hard to navigate. I just haven't been able to get on the big bucks yet, and today's my last day. So I'm gonna go up and hunt with Dan. It seems like he's been in the deer. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, see how this afternoon goes. Here's a fresh one. That's the old one. There's a new one. Well, my battery's low on this camera, so I may have to use my phone, but this is my setup for this afternoon. I'm on an open finger, so I really don't have any cover, and I'm on the ground, so I just built myself a little tiny blind here. It's not very big. Not going to cover me very much, but it'll give me enough room to draw my bow. We got a southwest wind, so what I'm hoping is deer are bedded on the other side of that ridge over there, and they're going to come up over the ridge. So I should see them when they come up. They shouldn't come up from behind me, because that's the way my wind is blowing. And there is 3 scrapes right along here, so I guess there's a few acorns. Dan said there's a lot of acorns on this ridge. I haven't seen a single acorn. I've just seen some acorn caps. So, all right, I guess we'll see what happens. All right, so I had quite a fiasco. I tried to go where Dan told me to go, but I didn't see any acorns. That was the first place I was set up at. So then I just texted him and said, hey, was it a specific tree? And he said, you got to go all the way to the point. So I went further down to the point, and I saw tons of acorns. So I set up there, like a really rustic looking logging trail. And I'm set up maybe 10 yards off of that trail, and all of a sudden horseback riders come down the trail talking and carrying on. And I said, hey, you guys lost because the trail is up there. And they said, no, this is part of the trail. I thought they were completely wrong. I looked on my map. It is part of the trail, and I can't hunt within 25. I have to be more than 25 yards from the trail, so I had to move my whole setup again. But I'm actually happy about that, because this is my view. I'm overlooking a bench about 50 yards below me. The woods are open, but I have a natural blind in front of me. Let me show you. All right, so here's my log that I have in front of me. But if you look beyond that down there, you'll see a natural bench. The deer are probably bedded down in the bottom. I got the wind in my face, so it's perfect. I can shoot out to like 40, 45 yards over this way. Well, I mean, I can shoot way further than that, but that's how I don't feel comfortable more than 40 yards. So I'm hoping I can have a deer come within 40 yards of me. And even if a deer travels across a buck travels across this bench down here, by the time it gets right in front of me, it's only going to be at about 35 yards. So that's perfect. All right. See what happens. Well, that is going to wrap up the Ohio trip. We just reached the end of legal shooting light. So I wasn't able to make it happen on the last day, and I didn't actually see any deer today either. So, but it was a blast. I definitely want to do it again next year. I want to give a shout out to Hunt Solo Public. Pretty cool channel. The guy, he hunts the public lands of North America and made a YouTube channel out of it. So check out Hunt Solo Public, and I'll put a link in the description. All right, well, you guys have a great night, and thanks a lot for joining me on this trip. All right, have a good night. So after I left Ohio early Sunday morning, Dan went back out one more time, and he had success. And of course, I was not there to take pictures and video, but Dan was nice enough. He had already started cutting up the buck, and he was nice enough to take a video and some pictures and just explain his hunt. So thanks a lot, Dan, for that. And that was pretty darn awesome. I mean, I think this is his first time in Ohio getting a buck. He's been there for a few years before that, so he finally got his buck in Ohio. All right, here's Dan.
So last day here in Ohio, it's Sunday, November 5th. And last night I had come to this spot. The last 2 days I've been seeing a lot of action coming over this little saddle in the ridge here. So this morning I came back in. There was a buck that was cruising through, and I called to him, and I got him to turn around, come back down. He came back up the ridge, and I lost him somewhere over in there. I was up here in this tree in my saddle, and so I was just waiting, because I thought, well, maybe he was just out of sight on that side of the ridge. And so I waited, and then about 9 o'clock, a little bit before 9, I heard something up on that point, and it started coming down this little cruising ridge on the inside of this hill. And then I noticed it was a buck, and it was coming right here into this scrape. And when he got to about 10-15 yards, he looked up and saw me drawn back with my saddle, And so I knew I had to take the shot, and I shot him through that little brush there. And then he's down over the hill here. I'm just gonna get him cleaned out so that I can pack him out of the woods here, because it's a little bit of a hike. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just over here working on cleaning up this this buck carcass, and yeah, it was a successful couple of days here in Ohio. Corey was able to get a doe, and I finished the trip off with a small buck.